All right, so Yasmin, you cover the aviation beat, right? And for airlines, one of the year's biggest headwinds has been learning that's beginning to ease, offering some relief there after months of margin pressure.
Yeah, you'd think that airlines will be celebrating, but really, Liz, it's the geopolitical risks, the rising operating costs that are still lingering, so they're not really in the clear yet. It continues to cloud the outlook. And I sat down earlier with the Lufthansa Vice President, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Joint Ventures East, Felipe Bonifatti, and he discussed with me how carriers are navigating this turbulence.
I think it's the second half of the year will remain a bit challenging for us as well. I mean, for the Lufthansa Group, we are celebrating 100 years, and this means in the second half of the year, not only looking into the past, but also looking into the future. And the challenges ahead will still remain. We are hoping that the conflict in the Middle East will cease soon, but the end of the conflict might not be the end of the risks, meaning we will have to still look into it and how do we, restart operations there. In general, the industry will still be under pressure in terms of fuel, in terms of costs, and that will not change and not go away. One thing that will be definitely top priority, as it was also in the first half of the year, is safety. I mean, the industry will remain the safest way to travel on Earth. So I think that will remain a priority also in the second half. But we're not expecting an easy second half, to be honest. On the other hand, it will remain a part of the year where we'll still look into growth and restarting operations in some of the areas we are unable to fly these days.
And the Middle East now is under your remit, Asia Pacific, a huge area of growth. How do you then plan for that growth with these lingering uncertainties?
It's not an easy task, and therefore we have experts in our network planning department at the headquarters that are looking into this. So for us, we have to stop all our operations into the Middle East until the end of October, with the exception of Tel Aviv, that we will be resuming a bit earlier, and potentially one of the other destinations whenever possible, all subject to safety audits. But the planning is quite challenging, and that means that we also need to redeploy those aircraft. So whenever we take an aircraft out of production in terms of not flying to the Middle East, that airplane has to go somewhere else. As we all know, airplanes do produce when they fly, not when they are on the ground. And in that respect, Middle East capacity that we had to redeploy, was in benefit of Asia Pacific, where we got additional flights in here.
Let's talk about India.
Yes.
It repeatedly features in Lufthansa's recent Asia announcements. Is India now becoming Lufthansa's most important growth market in Asia, or is APEC still the bigger driving story?
So India is our second biggest long-haul market worldwide after the US, of course, after the home markets there. And India has been, showing growth, steady growth for the last years. And so we see, a middle class which is increasing. We see the diaspora as well. So there are many elements with India that shows that the growth is there. Also, IATA statements and forecasts for the future shows in India a lot of growth. And Lufthansa is the biggest European group in India. We haven't been there for more than 60 years. We've been flying there since the early 50s. And in India, we do fly with several airlines of the group, with several destinations. So we cover 5 cities, and we fly more than 70 times a week. So every day there are at least 10 Lufthansa flights coming in and flying out of India. And that connects also Munich, Frankfurt, also Zurich, but also Rome through ITA Airways, our newest member of the group. So we see in India big growth, but India is part of Asia Pacific, and it's part of our strategy in this region. So we see India as part of the success story of Asia Pacific.
So you talked about ITA as a new member.
Yes.
You've lost one more. You've lost Asiana. Exit from Star Alliance. Can you tell us a little bit about, how this partnership of yours with Asiana, after 23 years, now removes a major Korean partner from your network?
Yeah.
What's that going to mean for you in terms of your Northeast Asia strategy?
So clearly, losing a partner within Star Alliance is always sad, and it's not the first partner that leaves Star Alliance, and therefore we used to these changes. On the other hand, the merger between Asiana and Korean Air has been announced for so many years that we were able to work on the exit of Asiana from Star Alliance on our own partnerships, but also work with other new partners in there. And therefore, we also have launched a new service into Korea, into Incheon Airport in Seoul, which is the Zurich flight, seasonal with our best product, Swiss Sense, is in there, as we believe, we will need to be stronger by ourselves, but also working with new partners there. And in the same way that we said goodbye, or we are saying goodbye at the end of the year to Asiana from Star Alliance, we welcomed also on 1st of April ITA Airways, into Star Alliance. So this is a bit of someone is leaving and someone is coming, and of course this will change the way we work in Europe, in Italy, and also will change the work we work in Korea.
So, Liz, you hear that airlines have to move planes around when certain routes are off limits. For example, Middle East airspace disrupted for quite a bit this year. You may think that sounds like potential disruption, but really it's not. It's all about these partnerships that airlines have, alliances, code shares. They help to back up the connections, which you and I as passengers don't normally see.
Yeah, but that's where the investors come in, because they are watching for capacity, demand, margins as well, especially with fuel prices, geopolitics, and that summer travel all in the mix. There's really a lot to digest here. Goldman Sachs has looking pretty bullish. That's raised its price targets in several major U.S. carriers, citing their strong revenue and easing fuel costs. Meantime, the S&P 500 Passenger Airlines Index, which tracks major publicly traded passenger airline companies in the U.S., that actually jumped as much as 5% to an all-time high last week. It has since come down some. As you know, there is still some lingering uncertainty there.
And just last month, I spoke with the folks at IATA, the Director General, Willie Walsh, earlier predicting, with data, of course, to back it up, that airlines will likely carry more passengers this year. The demand's so strong, but they only earn, perhaps, half as much profit as they did in 2025, which is, significant because they have to continue to absorb part of the fuel price hike in their bottom line. So still a cloudy outlook when it comes to airlines.